Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Music and Beyond. I'm Ernie Crazy Eyes. Today I have Tanis from Lives Lost. How's it going, man?
It's going great, Ernie. Thank you so much for having me today.
And thank you so much for joining, because I've heard your music on TikTok and on Apple Music, and holy smokes, man! You guys bringing in that love and messages and stuff.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate that. We're trying to make music that has an actual message. I think the modern world is very superficial, so we're trying to be the change that we want to see.
You guys gave me a Fat Flower vibe with the mental health stuff,
Thank
but
you.
like a harder version of Bad Flower, of course.
Oh, I love Bad Flower, man. I love them. They're a great band. Actually, when we first started, we were a little on the lighter side and I don't want to say a Bad Flower clone, but for a hot second, more that lighter alternative rock stuff. We kind of branched out from there. I really love metal, alt metal, new metal. So I think you hear a lot of that influence in our music. And we call ourselves hard rock, post hardcore band, but we got a lot of different genres going on in our sound.
Yeah, I could totally feel that and hear it. That's awesome, man. I love it. And can you share the story of how Lives Lost was formed, and
Yeah,
what
man.
brought you out together, and how did you guys decide on the band name?
Yeah, so Lives Lost started as my side project from my hard rock slash metalcore band La Chiate, and I was feeling really stagnant with the music. We were technical metalcore, groovy metal, but with a hard rock, a lot of singing. Early Kill Switch Engage stuff, and Lamb of God, but with clean vocals. I love that band. It taught me a lot. And I was feeling stagnant, and I was like, I want to sing more, And I want to create music that really allows me to be the most vulnerable version of myself. So I started writing a bunch of side band stuff in that alt rock, post hardcore vein that I was talking about earlier with the Bad Flower stuff. And I had hit up a bunch of friends. We got a group chat going, and then I came up with the name Our Lives Lost, and I was like, oh, this is too much like Our Last Night. We can't be this. Everybody's going to compare us. And we already, kind of sound similar to Our Last Night stylistically. So I was like, all right, we got to, drop the R. We were going to be Lost Lives for a second, but there's some Swedish DJ that's lost lives. So I was like, yeah, Lives Lost. Let's be Lives Lost, LL. I can hear the crowd singing it, I can hear the chant, lives lost, lives lost. So I was like, we have a good name, 2 words, 2 syllables, easy to remember, it's a catchy name. Once you hear our music, it kind of, you can feel the emotion behind it, and, we're a little edgy, and I think Lives Lost is an emotional, edgy name,
It is, yeah, I love it.
So I contacted, after I had a bunch of different band members fall through before we even got off the ground, I hit up one of my best friends, Alan Thompson, somebody that I've always revered. And he lives in Florida, and he happened to see that I was looking for a drummer. He's like, yo, bro, I'm moving back to PA. And I was like, bro, why didn't you tell me that? And literally, I think he just moved back, and he came to my little studio apartment that my wife and I were living in, which had too much band gear anyway, and we started rocking some of the songs, me on guitar and vocals and him on drums, and I think magic was made there, man. We were writing shit that we really loved and we're super proud of. And then my my La Chiate guitar player, Aaron Perry, he's one of the best damn guitar players you'll ever hear in music, and he's just such a sweet, humble guy. And I couldn't come up with I was writing all of the guitars, but I couldn't come up with a lead part to our first single. For Yesterday.
Yeah.
For the chorus. So I sent it to him, and I was like, hey, man, you want to cook on this? And he did. He came to the studio, he hung out with us. Him and Alan hit it off instantly. He just got along so well because Alan's just like this chill, laid back, like, you know, he likes anime and marijuana. You know what I mean? So he's a chill, laid back guy. And Aaron is also a chill, laid back guy, but like more of the silent type. He likes like horror movies and like mimes and shit and like soft rock from the 90s and 80s. I love Aaron, but they just hit it off so instantly. And I was like, look, Aaron, here's the deal. Like, we literally left the studio that night. I called Aaron. I was like, hey, man, thank you so much for writing the lead to this part. It just made the song. Like, I love it. I really love being with you. As you know, you're like one of my favorite people. He was one of my best friends at the time and still is. You know, guy was at my wedding. And he was like, I'll think about it. So I basically badgered him for like weeks and was like, yo, are you going to join my band or what? He was like, you know what? It wasn't until I tracked vocals on that song. He was like, oh, dude, this is like the best vocals you've done on a song. He loved them. You know, they're very emotional, powerful song. It never really popped off for us, but it was kind of the song that brought us all together.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, for sure. I mean, you guys have a few singles and an EP.
Yeah.
So, you know, like, you guys did it.
Yeah, we did. I think we're on our next single will be song 15. Now, 15. We pulled a couple songs off of the interwebs because they weren't up to our quality, you know.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, this will be our 15th song together. You know, we're working on like a full length behind the scenes, but we're about to drop an EP here over the winter called Home is Where the Heart Breaks. It's kind of about...
Dude, that sounds wild.
Thank you, man. It's about like my struggles growing up and having like everybody around me like doubt me and put me down, and because they were, you know, self-conscious and just, you know, saying I was like, I'll never forget this as a kid. For example, you know, I love my parents very dearly, but they were young parents and they didn't really know how to parent, if that makes sense. But
yeah, when you tell them when you I'm gonna let you finish, but also like I feel like when you tell them like, hey, what do you want to be when you grow up? Like, oh, I want to do this. Oh, think of something else because that sounds like it's not possible.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? It's weird because my mom was always like, oh, you can be whatever you want and I'll love you anyway. But then when I'd like try and sing and play guitar, she'd be like, oh, you can't fucking sing, and just like mean about it, you know, unintentionally, I think, you know. But those words still go through my head because I was a good guitar player, but not a very good singer. But I just needed practice. I've always had, you know, a powerful voice and a unique voice. I mean, I think if you close your eyes and you put your playlist on shuffle, if you have Lives Lost on there, you'll hear my voice and say, oh, shit, that's Lives Lost. You know what I mean? But it took me a lot, and there was this spirit of doubt. So this EP about Home is Where the Heart Breaks is about, you know, the unintentional trauma that our parents leave with us even when they're gone. You know, it's what we have to carry for the rest of our lives, essentially. And I think a lot of millennials and Gen Z, we can relate to that, you know, because most of us either had older parents, you know, people in their late 30s, early 40s that were having their first kid, or you had like 18 to 24-year-old parents that had you way too young, you know?
Yeah, and I mean, we were kids, but they were kind of sort of kids too, so it was kind of like a kid leading a kid.
My mom was literally a kid when she had me. She was 18, and my dad was, I think, 22 or 23.
I think my mom was 17. I don't know how old my dad was. Probably like 20.
My mom was an emancipated adult. She was living out on her own since she was like 15 or 16.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but she was still a kid, you know, and having a kid, getting pregnant, you know, from a short-term relationship and then ending up together, that's a lot of trauma too, you know.
Yeah, for sure.
But like the first track on the EP, which I'm actually going back to finish here shortly, is called Chin Up Kid, and it's about like the motivational hype speak I've given myself through the years. and, kind of the battle within that can lead to triumph,
Yeah, yeah. That sounds awesome, man. Because I feel like a lot of us, even us grown people, like we need to hear that sometimes,
No,
Uh,
100%, dude. I agree.
like Eminem released a new album a couple of months ago, and he did a song with Jelly Roll, and the last song I feel like it hit us all because it was kind of like Eminem apologizing for all of our parents.
Yeah, 100%. I heard that song once, maybe twice now. I didn't really listen to much of the new Eminem album, but a friend's trying to get me to listen to it, and I love Jelly Roll. I think
Yeah,
his story and him being an advocate for addicts is super important, I not unlike a lot of us, had and I apologize if you hear the scrunching of the bag in the background. I'm feeding my doggies. It's time for them to have dinner.
you're good.
But, I think a lot of us turn to drugs, or alcohol to kind of drown away our problems,
Yeah,
At least in my case, my dad was a self-medicator for years and, still to this day struggles with alcohol. And it was just the easiest thing for me to access as a young adult struggling,
yeah. At 17 or 18, you try your first cigarette, and it's a wild ride after that.
No, dude, 100%. I was, and maybe this is young, maybe it's because I'm from rural Pennsylvania, there ain't shit to do around here. But I was drunk in a cornfield off of Lad when I was 14,
Oh wow.
And, maybe that's because I had some older friends or whatever, but, I've been participating in high-risk behavior for a long time. And kind of, when I entered my early 20s, I was still doing that, but I met my wife. It really caused me to, realize, hey, you need to make positive changes about your life and, become the best version of you because you've met your person and she deserves your best. I was still, probably before I met her, right before I met her, I had realized that really. It just happened to come to my life after, and it accelerated it so much faster, Because when you have somebody that you love that relies on you, you want to be the best you can be for them.
Yeah, of course.
But she was really my best friend, we became friends, and I started, instead of looking for escape from life, just look forward to speaking with her, and I always loved my band and what I was doing, but I still had a lot of inner turmoil from family life,
Yeah, I mean, it'll be there always.
No, 100%, and where are you from, Ernie?
I'm
What's
from
your
South Texas, man.
Okay. Do you have any Latin, Latino?
Yeah, I'm straight up Mexican.
Okay, so my family's Italian American, also both Italian American back in the 40s, I think we have a lot of similar cultural norms,
Yeah.
like big family and, always spending time together, even if it's kind of toxic at times,
Oh, definitely, yeah.
We're all about, we love each other when we love each other, and when we hate each other, we're screaming at each other, So
Or
our
throwing
sense
things.
of, yeah, and throwing things, bro, yes. So my sense of normalcy is just not normal, The same with you, I'm sure. Your baseline for normalcy is at a different spot than everybody else,
Dude, sometimes I would go to my friend's house and we'll have dinner and everybody's eating at the table. That's cool. Everybody ate in their room, this is so weird.
Yeah, nobody's yelling about passing something,
Yeah.
But yeah,
That's crazy.
but that's a big theme that we talk about, is the growing pains of life and family and our trauma,
Yeah,
but also
and
our love,
and I mean even from the title of the EP that came out last year, a portrait of the lost. It's a ride. Sometimes it's down, but sometimes it could just go up.
Yeah. Peaks and valleys, the ebbs and flows of life.
Yeah. And what artists and or bands have influenced your sound the most? How do these influences shape your music, particularly in your latest single, like Numb the Pain? Numb the Pain was such a beautiful song.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate that. I think something that like makes us a lot more unique than a lot of bands is we all have such different influences, you know? Like Alan, my drummer, his favorite bands growing up and drummers growing up are like Jeff Porcaro from Toto, you know, Hold the Line in Africa. I'm sure you know those songs, you know?
Hell yeah.
So he likes stuff like that and like early 2000s, late 90s, hard rock and metal, you know, like we all love Avenged Sevenfold. That's like a common bond that we share. We all love Avenged, you know?
Yeah.
But Alan's like day-to-day listening is more like 70s rock and weird like dubstep-y. I forget what he calls what he listens to. It's like dubstep techno. It's very popular in Japan. So like his influences and what he brings to the table is like a unique eye because I only listen to like rock and metal. Well, I shouldn't say that. I listen to a bit of everything, but my main listening, like my wife has to tell me to change what I'm listening to sometimes because I literally like it's rock, metal, post-hardcore, metalcore, punk, pop punk. You know, it's all guitar, like music, you know, all the time. Or like Midwest emo, which she's not into at all, which I can't blame her. You know, that's that whiny stuff. But it's all like, you know, guitar. It's rock, punk, or metal based. You know.
Yeah. And right now that you said Toto with your drummer, right?
Yeah.
I actually interviewed Lukather's son like in
No way.
Yeah, 2019 or 2020. I can't remember what year it was, but yeah, I interviewed Lukather's son. He was in a band, and I'm just like, holy smokes, like this is crazy.
Dude, that's iconic.
Yeah.
I love that film. He's one of my favorite guitar players too. He's so good.
Oh really? Hell yeah, dude.
I mean, you'd be hard pressed to find a guitarist with more writing credits on pop music from the 70s, 80s, 90s. He's got like over, I think, 1,000 songwriting credits.
Oh wow.
Yeah, he was insane.
That's crazy. And can you walk us through the creative process behind Numb the Pain? And how did you guys come up with that? And what message are you hoping to convey through the lyrics and sound?
Yeah, so Numb the Pain is about my struggles with mental illness, trauma, and drug abuse, you know. I did a couple of hard drugs pretty consistently throughout my late teens, early 20s. You know, my drug of choice was cocaine and oxy. And, you know, on top of that alcohol, I've always was a heavy drinker. And Numb the Pain is about, like, looking back at that time in my life and feeling where I was from a mental illness standpoint, struggling with that addiction and struggling with getting myself in a better headspace and finding sobriety from hard drugs.
That's wild, man. I love that.
And, you know, I'm really going to shout out, you know, all my guys in the band, but, like, Aaron had a really unique, my lead guitar player had a really unique, like, approach to some of the stuff he added to the song. Like, he really likes bands like The Smiths and, like, John Mayer, and he also loves, like, rock and metal, too. Like, he loves Slipknot and Avenged Sevenfold, but he also, you know, sometimes has that more pop standpoint. So this song's very, like, if you think about it, it's very, like, pop-driven because it's very vocals and drum, and the guitar kind of, like, sits in the background a little bit, but really adds to the song when it's happening, you know?
Yeah.
But, yeah, the creative process behind that was my own struggles, and then we all came together as a band. We wanted to write a banger, and I wrote it around, you know, that chorus, that na 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 na. I had that melody from day one.
Oh wow.
We actually wrote the song around that melody.
That's sick.
And
I like
then,
that.
the rest kind of is history. So I appreciate you, taking a liking to that song too, man. Really means a lot, Ernie.
Yeah, man. I mean, we all struggle. Like, like I love alcohol. Like in 2020, I was drinking it every day because you know what? That was the only thing that I could do because I couldn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
Now I have the days that I drink, which is Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then I take a break during the week because I gotta make sure not to kill my liver.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
dude, alcohol is a struggle for a lot of us.
yeah, man, and like I'm pretty sure that when we were kids, we saw our parents do it, and like it was normalized for us. So like, hey, man, you should drink if you're feeling sad. Like, what's the worst that can happen?
Yeah, it makes you more sad. But nobody talks about that.
Yeah.
We have so many rock songs, metal songs about partying and having a good time. We need some more realistic songs about like what alcohol actually does,
Oh yeah. That'd be pretty crazy.
I agree,
And
Ernie.
and you often talked about mental health like we were right now, but in your music. Um, why is this topic important for you? And how do you hope your music impacts listeners struggling with mental health issues?
Well, I personally have a slew of mental health issues. I have, since a young age, been diagnosed with anxiety, ADHD, autism spectrum disorder, which at the time was called Asperger's.
Oh
And, I think I've struggled my whole life, and there's a lot of people that identify with that. And I've had a lot of friends. I've been inpatient a handful of times during my teens and my late teens and my early teens. And I've had a lot of friends kill themselves, not myself, kill themselves.
yeah.
I've even had some family members kill themselves. And I think that's something that stays with you forever, which is kind of where we landed on that, circling back to an earlier question, Our Lives Lost. This is a dedication and a memorandum to all of the people I've lost along the way and all of the people that feel lost in their day-to-day lives. We call our fans lost ones because they found us along the way and they were once lost.
Dude, that's beautiful, man. I like that.
Thank you so much, man. I really appreciate that.
And my best friend of like 18 years, it feels like he 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 lost his battle with addiction, and like every day I think about him, I'm like, man, I really wish he were still here because I'm doing so much and I could really use a talk. And about sometimes I think about giving up, and I'm just like, I can't give up because he's no longer here, and like I just got to do what we worked
You got to
for.
carry on the legacy
Yeah.
without him, because he lives through you every day.
Yeah, and like when he passed away, I got super drunk and I'm like, I'm quitting music, like, or I'm quitting podcasting. And, I'm just like, you know what? I woke up sober the next day. I'm like, you know what? I can't do it because that was drunk me. Like, sober me knows that that's wrong.
Yeah. And you're here, and we're so grateful for that. I'm super excited to be here with you, Ernie.
Yeah, man, likewise. Like, I feel like we're becoming better friends right now.
I agree, man. I agree. And I hope that we have, more talks. I'd love to get the whole band on here at some point in time.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
And,
Maybe we could do a TikTok live.
I was going to say, I feel like, we should get the whole band on TikTok live. Like before a show, we can do a TikTok live and have the whole band behind the scenes. How would you feel about that?
I love that, man. Let's do it.
Let's do it, man.
And how have your fans responded to your focus on mental health? have you received any memorable feedback or stories from fans who have been impacted by your music?
Absolutely. The guy from HMAC. Which guy? Oh yeah, that was deep, man. I've had, honestly, at this point, countless. Our music is just so. I'm not saying this to pat myself on the back or anything, but it's very emotionally rooted, and it's rooted in real life situations and real shit that has happened to people, myself included, which is why I write about it, you know. But one of our first shows, we actually, this is crazy. It was our first full band show. We played a couple acoustic before that, but this was our first full band show. And a guy came up to us. We played with Hinder, actually, Lips of an Angel band.
Sick.
And our friends in Small Town Titans. It was a really awesome show. Hinder shouted us out. It was cool. But we got down to the bar downstairs to get away from all the noise of the upstairs, just very briefly, you know. We just got off stage. And this guy that was at the bar came up to me, and he was like, hey, man, I just want you to know, like, I've never heard your music before. I've never heard of your band. Quite frankly, I don't know if I would have if you hadn't opened up for Hinder. But your music has moved me. And he had, like, his eyes were wet. You know, he had tears in his eyes. And he was like, you know, I came from an abusive household, and your song about suffering at that and having been through that yourself just brought me to tears, man. That's exactly how it feels. And you promising to make a better tomorrow and giving me that release by having this song is just so special to me. And it was a very special conversation with a very special guy.
That's beautiful, man. I love that.
He's still a fan to this day.
Oh yeah, that's great. And I'm sure the fandom is getting bigger and bigger.
That's what we can hope, you know. There's an actual study right now. Most people are not actively looking for new music. We like what we like. You know, so like 80% of listeners are not looking for new music. Sorry,
I've heard that once you reach like a certain age, you just stop listening to new music and just listen to the bands that you like now.
Yep.
Or that you've been liking forever.
Exactly. So, you know, you either got to play with bands people like, or you got to do something different, you know, while they're scrolling. They happen upon your bands, you know?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like all I've been doing is finding bands on TikTok. Like I found you guys, and I was like, hey, like these guys sound cool. Like let me hit them up and do something.
Yeah, and I'm very glad, you know, that happened. And TikTok has been a great tool for us. I think a lot of people on TikTok, they are actually looking for new music, you know, which is what's kind of special about TikTok. It's like the one place where people are actually looking for music.
That's true. That's true. I feel that.
So.
And do you find creating and performing music to be therapeutic for yourself? In what
Absolutely.
ways? In what ways has music helped you deal with your own struggles?
It's kept me alive for a long time, man. I think, you know, before my wife, this was the only thing driving me to exist.
That's beautiful, man.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate it, Ernie.
And can you give us a sneak peek at any upcoming projects or releases? What can we expect from Lives Lost in the near future?
Yeah, September 6th, we're dropping a new single, Chin Up Kid. Hoping to get that out September 6th. Knock on wood that all the tracking goes to plan. I track it next week. So, and we're going to be announcing our EP, Home is Where the Heart Breaks, which I kind of have exclusively announced now through you and another podcast. But we haven't really posted about it, talked about it much yet. So I'm excited to announce it.
I really hope everybody listens to this so we can get the word out.
Heck yeah, I'm going to reshare everything that you post up. And, you know, I'm really looking forward to having a continued conversation with you, Ernie.
Yeah, man, I'm excited. And how do you translate the emotional intensity of your songs especially with those dealing with heavy topics like mental health into your live performances?
So that's kind of tough, right? Our music's super emotional, so sometimes I have to like dot in the studio. You can get as many takes you want of something, right? But live, you get one take, you get one chance to do it.
Oh yeah, there's no
So I
do-overs.
try my best to practice and make sure that I can nail exactly what I want to sing live, as close to the record as I can. Because I think the emotion in our songs is kind of what makes the songs.
Yeah. Man, this conversation got so deep. It's wild.
Dude, yeah, I'm bad at that sometimes, because I want to have the honest conversation, but sometimes
No, yeah. And honestly, I love it. I love it. I love it.
Thank you, man. I think sometimes it can be like, wow, this guy really does talk about the shit that he writes about in his songs, and it's just off-putting,
Yeah. Sometimes it needs to be heard, though.
I agree.
And what message would you like to send to your fans who are dealing with their own mental health challenges, and how can they find hope and strength through your music?
Firstly, you're not alone in this. We're with you always, and if you ever need somebody, call the national hotline if you're ever on the edge like that. I think it used to be a 1-800 number, but now it's 988, if I remember correctly. Yeah, 988, Suicide Crisis Lifeline. But if you aren't at the absolute wit's end and you need somebody to talk to, we have a Discord. You can direct message us on any of the social media apps. We truly love our fans, and we're not just, posers out here saying that. We really live that. I've been there countless times for our fans, and I'll continue to be there, because part of why I hop on that stage every night is to give my message, my story about mental health, and I'd be hypocrite if I weren't there for my fans as much as I could be. So we're here with you, and you're not alone. That's the biggest message I can give.
Oh yeah, man, that's beautiful. And the way that I like to end every conversation is, with the fun question. So let's bring it up. If you were stuck in an elevator with any musician, dead or alive, who would it be, and what would you talk about?
Ooh, that's so tough. That's so hard, man. For me, like, my biggest all-time musical influence, probably, that I would just rack their brain about so much, is Dallas Green of Alexis on Fire and City and Color. He just writes, and She and Him. He has a bunch of bands, actually. He just writes some of my all-time favorite lyrics. He writes some of my all-time favorite vocal melodies. He's so raw and real. And what he's singing about, I would just love to rack his brain about, music production, about songwriting. So many thick questions I would ask him, The other person that I was really caught in the middle of, deciding on, I'm a huge metalhead. I'm a huge Metallica fan. My first tattoo sleeve, I have a half sleeve that's Metallica's And Justice for All. James Hetfield, I would love to have a conversation with that guy. I don't know if I'd like to be stuck in an elevator with him, because I feel like, he's older and he might get cranky, if we're stuck in there a long time.
Yeah, that's true.
Got to throw some comedy in somewhere,
Yeah. I gotta admit, Metallica is one of my favorite bands that I love to hate.
No. Why do you hate Metallica?
I don't know. I just feel like I wouldn't hate Metallica if they weren't overplayed on the radio, but the radio station in my area, it's like, hey guys, we're about to play Metallica, and after that, we're gonna play Metallica.
Yeah.
You know what? Fuck it, we're gonna
true.
play Metallica
Main
all
radio
day.
just loves Metallica, man. They'll play Master of Puppets is the only song of Metallica's I'm so tired of hearing, because you hear it on 105.7 The X 8 times a day. It's a
Yeah.
freaking 10-minute song.
Honestly, the only song that I like from Metallica comes from the Black Album, which is Sad But True.
Love that whole album is so good.
Yeah, I don't
That
know why
album
people
has the
shit
best
on it.
snare tone ever.
I don't know why people shit on it, but it's like hating
Well,
Nickelback.
it's when they
like,
sold out, you know?
Yeah. Yeah,
It's
like it's
Metallica's Nickelback album. It's just straight bangers, but it's so different from the shit they released before that it makes everybody upset.
yeah. I honestly I love all the bands that people hate. Nickelback, Limp Bizkit.
Dude, I love
Death Punch.
Nickelback. I love Limp Bizkit. We sing How You Remind Me on the way to shows all the time.
Oh wow. That's great.
I don't care, dude. Nickelback slaps. Chad Kroeger is one of the greatest songwriters of our generation. That's another guy I'd love to have a conversation with, but I wouldn't want to be trapped in an elevator with him, you know?
Yeah.
But Dallas Green, I'd be cool with being trapped in an elevator with him. He just seems like a chill, nice guy. Not that Chad Kroeger doesn't. I just feel like, you know, Chad Kroeger would just be like, yeah, man, I got to go sell another multi-platinum record. I got to go.
Have you seen the new the Netflix documentary on Nickelback?
No, I got to watch it. I saw it.
It's so good,
it's
bro.
Come on Netflix, so
It's so good. I love it.
I'll have to watch it, man.
Yeah, and where can we find you guys?
Any streaming platform or your preference. YouTube,
Yep.
Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon, Tidal, Deezer. I think we're on Pandora too now. We're on it all, man.
Hell yeah! And if you got merch, go buy them, everybody, because you need
We
a
got
Lives
it.
Lost t-shirt.
www.liveslostband.com.
Hell yeah! This was fun, man, and I can't wait to do the TikTok live eventually. And I'm excited for the new music coming up.
We're excited too.
Yeah.
Let's do the TikTok live. I'll send you a couple dates, but 8/23 we're playing with the Skylit Drive and Varsity.
Oh, okay.
So before that show, it's local to us, so we're all going to be together.
August 23rd. If you guys are listening, we're doing TikTok live, so follow us.
Let's get it.
Links will be in the bio.
Let's go.
Thanks for joining me, man, and thank you everybody for listening. Go check out Lives Lost, streaming everywhere. And remember that without music, life would be a mistake.